Hello guys, it's me Tom again, and I'm gonna do a video today showing you my costume that I made for Comic-Con. Comic-Con in London, MCM, whatever it's got, I don't know. Anyway, so the convention was last weekend, so I decided to make this costume, and I'm gonna do a video talking about it. So I'm gonna put the camera down right here. And I'm going to take the mask off in just a second. Hopefully, it'll be alright. Right, there we go. So here's the costume. Alright. I'm going to take this off. Right, so, like I said, I made this costume. I'm going to sit down for a second. I decided to make this costume rather than buy one for three main reasons. The first is that buying a costume, store-bought Spider-Man costumes, in my experience, don't really look that good. That ties into the second reason why I made one rather than bought one. I wanted to save money. You can get some good-looking Spider-Man costumes, but they're going to cost you a fair amount of money. So I decided to make my own. The third reason, and probably the most important, is I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. In the comic books, Peter makes his own Spider-Man costume. So I sort of wanted to have that experience. I wanted to sort of make it my own. And so I did just that. I want to give a shout out to a YouTuber by the name of Godzillamendoza. He's got a tutorial on making Spider-Man costumes. I used a few of his ideas. I changed a few things around, and I just did a few things my way. Came up with a few different ideas myself. So it's sort of a kit bash, but I wanted to give him some credit because he sort of got me started. So, yeah, I'm going to show you the costume a bit. It's not perfect. This is my first time actually doing something like this, so I'm really proud of it. Money-wise, it cost me about, I don't know exactly, but it did cost me less than £100. So not too much money, and time-wise, I spent about 70 hours, give or take, on it. So over the course of a couple of months. So it was really fun, it was really challenging. I set this goal for myself to do this, and I did it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I made it. First of all, I got two spandex bodysuits. I believe, if I remember right, the brand for this is Zentai. So what I did was I put on the red one, and just with a pencil, I drew around on my body, actually on the suit, while I had it on, drew around all the parts of Spider-Man's costume that are red. And I made it a little bit bigger than I needed, and then I cut them out. On the blue suit, I cut off the hands, right? With the gloves and the boots on the legs, what I did was, I believe the term is hemming. I'm not a huge sewer, but yeah, I folded it over so it was a nice clean edge. Stitched it, and then what I did was I got some snap fasteners, and I stitched those into the inside of the glove and the blue suit all around. So that works for two different things. It keeps them pulled up with where I want them to be so they're not falling down. But then also, if I needed to, I could take the gloves off and have my bare hands. So that's that, and I did the same sort of technique on the feet. On the bottoms of the feet, if you can see this, I added soles. This was important because walking around, right? The convention was in London, so I had to walk around London in this, went through the underground with it. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to wear out on the bottom. And then, of course, at the convention, it was I was there for 2 days, a lot of walking around. So yeah, I wanted the bottoms to be, I wanted them to be comfortable, and I wanted them to be durable. So what I did was I went into a store called Primark, and I'm trying to remember what like an American equivalent of that store would be, but I can't really think of one. Primark, I'll go on record as saying I hate Primark. I think it's crap, but it's cheap, and that's what I wanted. So I went into Primark, and I got, I don't know how I would describe them. First of all, they were women's shoes, and I got a size 8, which I believe I'm like a 10.5. And I purposely got a smaller size because I wanted the soles to really hug my feet. But they were almost like beach shoes type of material, really thin. Yeah, like Payless. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, sort of like Payless shoes, I guess. Just really cheap, thin material shoes. So I bought those, took a knife to them, pulled out the inner sole, and then cut off the outer sole. I'm not a cobbler, so I don't know the technical terms. Yeah, and then all I did on the bottom was I just super glued them. I just super glued it on, and I stuck the inner sole inside the leg, as I would. So that's how I made the feet. With the hands, what I did, I went to Poundland, again, like dollar store, and I got some red rubber gardening gloves. And all I did was I just cut the fingertips off and just cut circles out, and then again, super glued little pads onto the fingers. So, I mean, they don't really look that nice. They look okay. But the whole point of this was, with spandex, it's sort of a slippery material. It was hard for me to pick things up. So adding that on there, I was able to pick stuff up. What else is there? Adding the actual red bits. This was the hardest part, and this is what took the longest. So I just had to pin it down, right? And then just, because I don't have a sewing machine, so I stitched it all by hand. And that took a really long time. As I said, it's not totally perfect. And after the weekend, like some bits of it, you can see there, it's a little bit of it is giving way. But apart from that, like it's really held up. And I remember that bit was a bit sloppy. It was hard to get inside the arm, gain access. But yeah, so I just went around and did all that. With the spider in the back, I got like a foam sheet, and then just with the extra bits of the red spandex costume, first of all, let me back up. I printed out an image of the back logo, right, and then I cut that out on a foam sheet, and then with the excess from the red suit, bits I wasn't using, I then covered the foam logo with that and then stitched it onto the back, if that makes sense. So just like that. Now with the zipper, that was sort of difficult because I had to cut, like in the red suit, cut the zipper out of it because I'm using the blue so it can go all the way up. So I sort of worked around that. And then once all that was sewn on, then I drew the spider and the lines on. So how I did that was I just got just a regular Sharpie. I could have used like a fabric pen, but I don't know. Maybe I might go over it at some point in a fabric pen. I don't know. This is fine for now. Just took a Sharpie. I got a long piece of tape, stood in front of a mirror, and just stuck some tape there. Drew it on, moved the tape, stick it on again, draw the line on, moved it all around like that. And then, yeah, just drew it on. That's all I did. Now, the night before Comic-Con, I started to really stress because I realized that I hadn't attended to the back. So what I needed to do, I needed to just come up with something that was going to work. It wasn't going to be pretty, but I just needed something to work because if I were to stitch it down, like if I were to stitch the red bit of the collar down onto the blue, it wouldn't go up high enough, if that makes any sense. So what I needed to figure out was how to make it so there wasn't a big gap with the red in the back. So what I ended up doing, and I'm not really happy with this bit of the suit, but I was running out of time, you know, and it works. So I just cut out a square of red material, again from the leftovers of the red suit. I stitched it onto one side. I can't remember which side it was, but I stitched it down onto one side, and then I added Velcro to the other side. So I can open up the back and then unzip, or, you know, when I put it on, zip it up and then put the flap down. Again, yeah, not really, it's not pretty, but it you know, it works. I will say that when I was making this costume, I had a lot of ideas on how I could do it better. Like when I was halfway through the procedure, like I'm a surgeon. So I'm thinking at some point I'd like to make another costume, and I've got a few ideas of how I can make it better, make it faster, make it a lot easier, make it look better. With the mask, what I did was I found that, well, actually I bought an extra mask online, just like an extra spandex mask, because with the Zentai suit, that had a mask that was like attached to the rest of the body, and when I cut it off, there just wasn't enough. There was a huge gap, you know, in the neck. So I just threw that bit away and bought another mask, just a plain red spandex mask. What I also bought was a sort of a knockoff Jason mask, because like a plastic mask which you can see on the inside. And I did that because without that, if I just put the mask on, it doesn't really look right. It's got a weird shape. So by using like a Jason mask, sort of like, you know, just a cheap hockey mask type of thing, it creates, you know, it's got like the nose bump, sort of keeps the form of the chin, just makes it look better. So really simple. I didn't attach the face mask at all, just slip it inside. With the eyes, what I had to do was I just cut holes out in, you know, where my eyes are, and then I got I used some of the foam, like the foam sheet that was left over from the spider on the back, and I just drew on a piece of paper the outline that I wanted, you know, the size for the eyes that I like. I really like artists that give Spider-Man really big, bright eyes. So I sort of went with that technique, with that sort of style. And then I just cut it out on the foam, and with this bit here, that is like I believe they just call it a speaker mesh. It's a soft material that, you know, it's got holes in it like that. So when I put it on, I can see out, but you can't really see in all that well. Now one issue I did make was, because I tried to glue this down, right? I tried to glue the eyes down onto the mask, and it wasn't really holding. And unfortunately what ended up happening was some of the red from the mask with the super glue, it just sort of bled a little bit onto the eye. So that fucked me off, but I didn't have really enough time, and I was running out of patience, and it's fine. It's fine for what I wanted. But yeah, so I just sort of glued the speaker mesh down onto the outline of the foam sheet, right? Flipped it over, and what I ended up doing was I just stitched it in. You can sort of see the stitches there. Just stitched it in like that, and then I put it on and drew the lines on, and that was that. Now, there was a little bit of a problem with the mask. Without realizing, I sort of stitched. I had a stitch go through lower onto the mask, and it bunched it up a bit. And I didn't realize until after I had drawn the lines on. So then I took that stitch out, and it was little bit wonky. So I just sort of had to improvise, add a few more lines. But it looks alright. So, yeah, that's the costume. I'll throw this on again. Comic-Con was awesome. I took a lot of pictures, or I had a lot of pictures taken, and I've uploaded them onto my Facebook page, which I'll put a link there. I'll put a link in the description. So if you want, you can have a look. You can sort of see my pictures of me at the convention, me at my hotel. It was a lot of fun. So, yeah, costume is awesome. You should give it a try. Because it's fun to make things. And I think for next year, or actually October, in October, I'd like to go to Comic-Con again. And I'm thinking I'm going to make a Green Goblin costume. So I've already got some ideas there. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So thank you very much, and I hope you like the costume. If you don't, that's alright, because you don't need to be the one wearing it. Alright, see you later. Come on. Stop streaming. Yes. Yeah.